Hey, I'm Rob Gantt with the Goose Creek Gazette and the Berkeley Independent. I'm here today at Summerville Journal-Scene offices with my teammate Roger Lee of the Summerville Journal-Scene. We're talking some football, and this is Football Talk. Special thanks to our sponsors, Hoover the Mover in Monk's Corner, Tosha LLC Precious Metal Recycler, and Grace Funeral Services. Roger's getting down to the nitty-gritty, getting to the end of the season. Some teams are, keeping their eyes on some region championships. What you got going on your side of the fence?
Yeah, we've got some big games coming up for sure this week. Last week we had Pinewood finally got a win.
Yep.
They had Northwood Academy, and it was a muddy field, kind of homecoming night for Pinewood, and so that was a rough bill for Northwood to come into. But Pinewood played really good. They had multiple players have multiple big plays. Mikey McVeigh, quarterback, did a good job running the offense. Had a hand in 2 scores. Ben Diffley had a pick 6. And caught a 45-yard touchdown pass. Also handled the kicking duties. Ben Brown had a pick 6 and a fumble recovery. And then Rasheem Crissell recovered a fumble on a kickoff, and then on that following drive scored a touchdown for the Panthers. So that was good for him to run in a score that he had set up.
Yeah, that's a big deal for Pinewood to finally get a win. Those kids have been working hard, and to get rewarded with the win, was huge.
It is, and Northwood doesn't that score makes them look worse than they are. I mean, the muddy field definitely caused some of those turnovers, but Pinewood brought their A game too. So
yeah, all right.
This week, Pinewood hosts its final home game of the regular season when they have Lawrence Manning Academy. I think Pinewood's got its toughest part of its schedule out of the way. I don't know much about Lawrence Manning. I think they could definitely give Pinewood a run for their money, but they're not like some of the teams that Pinewood faced earlier in the season, the Porter Gouds and the Bid-Lippins and all that.
Well, the players should be rejuvenated, from winning a game. It might kind of help them confidence-wise going into the home stretch.
Yeah, I think so, probably.
Yeah.
Let's see, Summerville went to West Ashley and walked away with a 49-16 win. What we've been seeing most of this season. Jonathan Bennett is a finalist for the Mr. Football Award, and he lived up to it on Friday night. Had 3 touchdown passes, 3 touchdown runs, connected with multiple receivers. He's really clicking in these days, and he's got a good supporting cast. What do you want to say about Summerville?
They are definitely playing some very good football right now. Led by Jonathan Bennett. I know people talked about Berkeley perhaps being the team that could overthrow Fort Dorchester. I think Summerville's moving in that direction. I think they're kind of bringing their A game and kind of getting it all figured out right here toward the end of the season. I think Summerville, Fort Dorchester, is that next week? Or is that
Summerville's got a bye this week, and then they face the final game of the season for both those teams. They go into the Fort. That should be a doozy.
Yeah, get those tickets early. But anyway, yeah. So, sorry to derail you there. My point was Summerville is playing very well right now, and they're going to be a handful for Fort in a couple weeks.
All right. The other team that played Friday night in our area was Fort Dorchester. They had Stahl, came away with a 56-6 win. Coach LaPrade, he talks about that game and about how they could have cleaned up a lot of things. He wasn't happy with the performance overall, but you have to be happy with a 56-6 win. I mean, they had a safety for a touchdown. Running back Darius Capers had 196 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. He's a senior, so it's always good to see that senior step up in a game like that. I think that the Patriots are right where they want to be. That's probably good that they played a little bit sloppy against Stahl, because they might can build on that and make them a little bit stronger in these final 2 games they got coming up. Also, Coach LaPrade at that game got his Shrine Bowl jacket. He's going to be an assistant coach for the Shrine Bowl this year, so that's good to see.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Fort, that sets up the big rivalry match this week. Fort's going to Ashley Ridge, which had a bye week. That's going to be a good game. I hate to pick 2 schools right here in Summerville area, so close together. I hate to pick one over the other. You got any insight on how Fort Ashley Ridge might go?
Well, I mean, I'm going to go with Fort. I will say this. I saw Ashley Ridge earlier in the season, and to me, they look like a very good football team, a very competent football team that was capable of competing with Fort and Summerville. So I don't know what's happened as of late. I've kind of lost track of Ashley Ridge. But if the Ashley Ridge that I saw earlier in the year puts it all together and they take on Fort and they don't help Fort, I mean certainly Ashley Ridge can be competitive in this football game and have a chance to win. I mean I would go with Fort because like I said, to be the man you got to beat the man, and nobody's beaten Fort yet.
Yeah.
Until Summerville gets their shot next week. Anyway, all right. I mean I would go with Fort in that, but it should be a great game, especially if Ashley Ridge shows up ready to play.
Yeah, I mean Ashley Ridge has a full extra week to get ready and get healthy. I think if they don't overthink it, if they just treat it like any other game, because this is the one year in recent years I think you can do that with Fort. I mean, Fort's good, but you don't have to plan for DeCarrion Joyner. You don't have to plan for some of those receivers they had. Not that the guys they have aren't good, but I think if you just come in there with a good plan and stick to it, you'll play Fort Dorchester closer than if you try to adjust to what they're going to do. So maybe that'll make the difference for the Foxes.
I mean, I know it's cliche, but the key is kind of in the trenches, how they play on both sides of the ball. If they can win those matchups, on the line, they'll certainly be in the football game.
All right, we'll see. That's pretty much what we got going on over here.
All right, well, over in Rob Ganttville, we've got about 8 or 9 games. I'll start off with Oceanside Collegiate rolls over to Timberland. The Wolves are going for their 13th region championship in 14 seasons. Oceanside Collegiate is a very good football team, though. Should be a heck of a game. Think about that. Timberland's going for its 13th region championship in 14 seasons. That's kind of amazing when you think about it, isn't it?
It really is. He's done a great job with that program.
And what do you think it is? What do you think it is? Something in the water?
I think it's something about those kids he has in that area and sticking to your guns. I mean, I think I'm sure he's adjusted some things over that period as far as his coaching style, but I think he just knows what he wants to do and he does it. And he has some talent to do it with.
Yeah, the Timberland defense recorded its 4th shutout of the season on Friday. They beat Burke 48-0. Timberland Oceanside Collegiates for a region championship should be a good one. Another game, Stratford travels over to Berkeley certainly a very tough spot for Stratford to be in. Berkeley's got all those weapons on offense. But this time of year, you got to show up ready to play. And if Stratford can come in and they have an offense, but the key is can they slow Berkeley down? I'm not sure. You've seen both teams this year. How do you kind of view in that one?
I think you nailed it on the head. Berkeley's got too many weapons. That's what they're best at. Their defense is good, but they shine on offense. They got all those weapons. It's going to be a long night for Stratford.
Should be a tough one, but Stratford's just got to basically be prepared to score a lot of points if they want to be in the football game.
Yeah.
Another game, Wando travels over to Cane Bay. Hey, last week I was telling you about the Cane Bay backup quarterback, Alex Mart.
Yep.
He stepped into action and he had a heck of a game, 175 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. I told you that guy could play, and he's going to see what he can do for an encore here on Friday against Wando. I saw Wando on Friday against Goose Creek. Wando's pretty good on defense, so I think it'll be a test for him.
Yeah.
Should be a heck of a football game. If you're Cane Bay, you're kind of looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, if we beat Wando, we've already won our first 2 region games, so if we can win one here, we know for sure we've got our spot in the postseason locked down. So look for the Cobras to be dialed in. I really expect Cane Bay to win this football game, and I think it'll be because Alex Mart will have another pretty big game for him, and the running backs Micah Staggers and Mac Dudley will also be productive in this one. Another game, James Island travels over to Goose Creek. I saw Goose Creek on Friday. Heck of a win for the Gators. It was 13-6 over Wando. Big night for Emmanuel Mukwamu, the quarterback. He had 317 total yards for the Gators. Him and his teammate Corey Lucas had a heck of a game. Corey Lucas had 10 catches for 148 yards. He scored, I guess what you'd call the game-winning touchdown with about 7 or 8 minutes left to go in the game. It was like a 24-yard touchdown pass on a 4th down and 8 play. So the Gators, this is a big one for the Gators. If the Gators want to make progress overall, as far as making the playoffs this year, because last year they didn't. This is a game they absolutely have to win. I think they will. I mean, you've seen both teams play this year. Do you anticipate any problems for Goose Creek?
None other than James Island is hungry for a win. They've got beat up a little bit this year, but yeah, Goose Creek. Even in the game I saw them where they got beat at Ashley Ridge, they looked good, and that was when they had some adversity and their quarterback went out and they had to put somebody new in on the spot at quarterback, and they still played really good. So I think the Gators got this one.
Yeah, I'm going with the Gators. I think they'll just be too tough to handle for James Island. Manning rolls into Hanahan on Friday night. That is another matchup that will essentially decide a region championship. The Hawks are coming off an 18-14 win over Georgetown on Friday. Kind of a big night for Chris Wright, a player for the Hawks. He had one touchdown catch from Mac Blakeney, and he also recovered a fumble. This is a kind of a big deal for Hanahan. First-year coach David Morbitzer. When you take over a program, obviously you don't want to have a drop-off. You want to try to, have a good, successful first season and kind of set the tone. And, well, right out of the gate, the Hawks have a chance to win a region championship in his first year. Manning is a pretty good football team. Hanahan's got a tough test on Friday, but it should be one heck of a football game. Very similar to Oceanside Collegiate and Timberland. I mean, those are teams, they know it's for the region championship. I think both teams will be dialed in, ready to play. Should be a great football game. Several other matchups. Patrick Henry travels over to St. John's Christian. St. John's Christian is coming off a 54-0 win over Holly Hill Academy. Really just a big night from several guys for St. John's Christian. I know Collins Robertson is a linebacker. He had double-digit tackles. They have another young man named Corey Monroe, but it's spelled Moraaux. He had 2 interceptions, and of course the assortment of skill players that St. John's Christian has on offense had a big night, led by the quarterback Ryan Bookert and Cooper Moore, running back Moorer. Hilton Head Prep travels over to Northwood Academy. Northwood Academy still looking for its first win of the season. Hopefully those guys will be able to kind of get a little bit of reward for the effort and that they put in this year. Time's running out on Chargers for the Chargers. Another team looking for its first win is Cross. The Trojans travel over to Scotts Branch on Friday. Cross is, they knew this was going to be a tough year. Not sure if they can get it done in the win column on Friday. But I'm sure they'll go out there and they'll give it their best shot. One other game to mention, Holly Hill rolls into town. They're going to take on Faith Ridge. Faith Ridge was hot earlier in the year, kind of falling off a little bit, and trying to get back on track this Friday against Holly Hill Academy. Well, that's my slate of games. We're like I said earlier in the video, we are going into the prime time. Getting into the home stretch. Do you have any closing thoughts?
No, not really. Just it's all come down. The region championships will be determined in the next 2 weeks, and I know on my side we definitely have 2 heavy games that are going to be well attended, and spirits are going to be up for it. So it should be exciting.
Yeah, I want to add, just really, again, like if you're a neutral football fan, you're looking for some good football games to go to, I think Oceanside Collegiate at Timberland would be one to go see. I think Manning at Hanahan will be another good one to go see, because those are for region championships. The crowds should be a little bit bigger, a lot more energy in the building. Well, that does it for this week of Football Talk. Special thanks to our sponsors, Hoover the Mover in Monk's Corner, Grace Funeral Services, and Tosha LLC Precious Metal Recycler. See y'all Friday.